This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be happy. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be happy. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, freed from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Very good. Okay, so I'll just carry on.
Thank you, Ajahn Brahm. Over to you.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Very good. So sadhu, sadhu, sadhu means awesome. That's the best translation you have for that word sadhu. It's some of those words in that sutta are very beautiful, and it's wonderful that we include that at the beginning of this meditation hour and a half, because too often when people try to calm their minds and relax their bodies, sometimes they put far too much effort into what they're doing, and it's not coming from the kindness. That's one of the reasons why we have some beautiful sayings in that little chant Things like let you be contented and easily satisfied, not proud and demanding in nature. And just to learn how to be content, and again, easily satisfied. The content is one of the most beautiful parts of our practice of meditation. And where that contentment comes from, it comes from a lot of kindness. The kindness that we have this sense of appreciation that this evening, no matter where you are in Japan in 1 degree, or in Perth in 40 degrees, or wherever you are in this world, that you can find some contentment somewhere where you're happy just to be here. And you'll find that all the worry in the world, all the thinking, does not make the temperature go up if you're cold. And all of the planning does make the temperature go down if you're hot. But learning to let things be, then the temperature goes down. As many of you heard me say a long time ago, that the Buddhist climate control strategy is that when it's cold, like in Japan, when it's cold, keep a warm heart. And when it's hot, keep a cool head. And that's Buddhist climate control. And for most of you who are living in hot countries right now, in order to be cool, we keep this cool head. In other words, we don't think hot thoughts, it just adds to the temperature. We learn how to calm our mind down. And how do we do that? We're just content in this moment. You find that if you try and fight and get negative, the temperature of your mind goes up. But if you just let this moment be, just be kind to it, it's good enough. I don't know about you, but I was born in UK, and in London you're always complaining about the cold. And now you go to a hot country and you complain about the heat. You always complain about something. So instead of complaining, we just learn how to be content and easily satisfied. And when you're easily satisfied, this is good enough for me, then you find the mind can actually slow down and stop thinking. When you have contentment, easily satisfied, it's like you've done the work. It's good enough, it's finished. If you try and make the work perfect, you've got a very strict boss. And of course, the strictest boss in the world is inside your own head. And if you try and please that strict boss inside you, you're never good enough. Which means it's never quite right. But when you have a very kind boss inside, someone who is content and very easily satisfied, then you'll find that that inner boss will make peace with you, so you can relax. What happens when you relax, you don't put so much stress in your mind, that the metabolism goes down. You know, this is one of those stories, because I've been a monk for such a long time now, all these stories of how this meditation works to your advantage. The time when I was over in the jungles of Thailand. There were jungles in those days, real jungles. And we would meditate in the evening. It was Ajahn Brahm, my teacher's idea, to have everybody come outside and meditate for 2 hours every evening. At the time when the mosquitoes came out. And those mosquitoes came out and they just bit you to death almost. And with a fellow monk, this is no exaggeration, as a monk I'm honest. And the other monk, we used to count how many mosquitoes on our bare arms. And we got it to about 60 or 70 at one go. And that was really, really irritating. Fortunately, there was no malaria in that area or dengue fever, but it was still really, really irritating. And that when we complained to Ajahn Brahm, can we have some mosquito repellent, or can we have some, let's meditate another time of the day? He said, no. Look at the disturbance as your teacher. And so what we did, we just, instead of fighting those mosquitoes, instead of just, because we can't squash them as monks, and if you just try and flick them off without killing them, they just go up and bite you again somewhere else. So instead of worrying about those mosquitoes, you learn how just to really, really, really relax your body and go inside the mind, relaxing your mind, to meditate with some kindness and some peace. And then what happened, you had these wonderful meditations where you couldn't feel the mosquitoes biting you. And when I came out of the meditation afterwards, you looked at your arms and your bare skin, there was no little bumps, the mosquito bites, they just weren't there. I always thought there was the magic of meditation to actually protect you. There was nothing magical about it, it was just science. Because mosquitoes are attracted to the carbon dioxide coming out of your pores, mostly. So the more you worry about them, the more tense and the more you think about them, the more carbon dioxide comes out, and the more you're telling the mosquitoes where you are. But if you learn just to relax and be quiet, after a while you get so quiet the mosquitoes can't find you. And you're invisible to them. And that meant they couldn't bite you. And you had the evidence there, nice peaceful meditation. And also just no marks on your skin afterwards. There was one time amongst many where I learned how to be content and how not to worry about anything. And learn how to just relax so much, your metabolism can go way down. And even if it's in a hot country, you don't feel so hot. In a cold country, you don't feel freezing. Because your body just relaxes. And you don't, like many people in our world today, we don't overreact. Much of the suffering of life is because we have problems in life. We make more out of them than they're really worth. So little by little we learn how to relax our body, relax our mind. And that meditation has huge effects on our health, on our productivity. We're not worrying about all these little problems which we can't fix, so we can actually do more for our own well-being of our family and the world. It's great for our health and great for our inner happiness as well. Because you also find that when you get peaceful, you haven't got many things to do. You don't run out of energy like so many people do in today's world. You find out that so many people are so low energy, they're so tired. Yeah, they have tea, coffee and keep themselves going, but then they find it's not really good energy. And after a while they get tired and they get miserable. But a lot of times, if we're kind and know how to relax, we get this beautiful energy inside, like the energy of children. Always really happy and joyful. Most of the time anyway. So that's the energy which we're going to generate in our meditation. And meditation is not a hard thing to do. There's only two things which we do in meditation. And those two things are just learning how to be aware and learn how to be kind to whatever we are aware of. So being aware is called the mindfulness, and you've heard that so many times. But the other part of mindfulness, which is essential, is learning kindness. And the kindness is this beautiful attitude we have to what we're aware of. So if you're aware of something, you don't say, oh, this is terrible, I shouldn't be thinking this, I shouldn't be feeling this, how can I get rid of this? You find that any negativity you put on to what you're aware of will just make the thing much, much worse and make it a problem. You have something to do instead of learning that meditation is a relaxation time. A time of really peace, a time to really get away from the world and have some freedom for a while. But if you think that what you're aware of is a problem, and you go thinking about it and creating strategies and stuff and all, it's just like being at work again. But the work you have to do is inside yourself. So don't work during the meditation. That's what people do other times. Meditation is learning how to be peaceful, accept, let things be. And then when you let things be, you find you calm down. When you calm down, you find first of all, your awareness grows in strength. You're much more aware of what's going on in your body and in your mind. And all this wisdom, which sometimes people are attracted to Buddhism, for all these great sort of teachings and wisdom, it all comes because you allow your mind to be so powerful. Because you've relaxed a lot, you can see much more of what's happening in the world. The old bit of poetry which I always tell people, it's from, It's very hot here, might get the brain going again, but it's the word to see a world in a grain of sand, a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. To see a world in a grain of sand, sometimes if you have enough mindfulness and it's strong enough, whatever you look at seems so amazingly beautiful, more beautiful than you thought before. And to see a heaven in a wild flower. We know about wildflowers in Western Australia, but these are tiny little flowers, and most people can walk past them in the bush and never really appreciate them. But when your mindfulness is very strong, you can see so much more, and even the little flowers, they really stand out. And even the food which you eat. I still recall the time after I did a nice personal retreat and got the mindfulness really going strong. The first main meal which I had was baked beans. And I remember putting the first baked bean out of a tin in my mouth and going, wow, I've never tasted a baked bean which was so delicious and sumptuous, and the texture of the bean was just perfect. And I was really blissing out on one tiny baked bean in my mouth, in my palate, tasting it, and just, the flavours were amazing. And was I going crazy? No, just the mind was waking up, and with it all the senses were getting strong. So the incredible experiences. And of course that poet, by the way, was William Blake. And after a while, you find out that you can strengthen that mind and not just see the beauty in a baked bean, but see the beauty in the people you live with. And see the beauty, in the cold weather in Japan or the hot weather in Australia, and really appreciate it. It actually turns into something, not a problem, but something which is wonderful. And also you look at yourself, your own body and mind, and see how beautiful that is. And when you start looking at your own body and mind with delight, it feels good. And the mind is just gorgeous and beautiful. I'm into poetry this week. The other piece of poetry is John Keats' poem Endymion. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. And that's your mind. You look at your mind, your inner world, and it surprises you. It's beautiful. And that gives you so much joy and happiness. And when you have joy and happiness arising in your meditation, of course it gets, wow, this is so easy and so wonderful. To the point that as a senior monk, I've been doing this for so many years, that I love meditation. And you really look forward to it. It's like, meditation, yay, my meditation time. And it's not something you do as a penance. It's not something I do to get rid of something or to achieve something. It's not meditating to get enlightened. It's meditating not to get enlightened, but to be enlightened. In other words, to be here, free, at peace, joyful. Wow. And it's not that hard. People make meditation much more difficult than it should be. You experience something, you say, this can't be right, and you try and get rid of it. Such as being sleepy. There is nothing wrong with being sleepy. It's just part of the human condition if you're tired. And most people are tired. So if you're sleepy, you let yourself sleep. And as you're meditating, you feel sleepy. There'll always be a little bit of awareness there. And that little bit of awareness is enough if you add kindness. I'm sleepy today. You don't fall totally asleep. You give it a bit of kindness so you enjoy it. It's a beautiful feeling. What does sleepiness feel like? Just really get to know it instead of trying to get rid of it. And when you're interested in that sleepiness, in that dullness, you just let it be rather than give it negativity. You'll find it doesn't last that long. Slowly, the mind wakes up. And it wakes up to the point that it's not thinking so much, it's just in this beautiful place between restlessness and sleepiness called awareness. And once you get to that nice juicy part of the mind, where you're aware peacefully and it's delightful. What do you do next? Nothing. You just got into the spot, into the zone. Just carry on. Just allow the mind to enjoy that peace. And don't be afraid that in meditation some people think, oh, meditation, you're not supposed to be enjoying yourself. Like somehow or other religion should be pain and striving and struggling. No gain, no pain. Idiots say. But that's not how things work. In the body and the mind, once you get to know it and care for it, you care for your favourite friend or partner or a child. You just enjoy seeing them. Yeah, they wear you out sometimes, but enjoy so much fun being with them. And that's like you and your mind. You hang out together. Hey, how are you doing? Hey, haven't seen you all day. How you been? My mind. The mindfulness and the mind hang out together, enjoy one another's company. Just see what happens. That beautiful idea of like learning how to open up to the mind rather than thinking what's going to happen next. And if you can do things like that, the kindness and the peace, you find that the mind just really starts to amaze you how simple meditation can be. And once you start to get into those beautiful states of meditation, it leaves a great impression on you, on your body. You find out your body relaxes so deeply. In fact, I was mentioning this the other day, I think when I was in our city centre in Perth, that my body is more relaxed when I meditate than when I sleep. In your sleep, you think you're comfortable, but you're always turning this way, turning that way, you find out in your sleep. But when you're sitting, you're perfectly still, and the body's comfortable. It kind of disappears, but you're perfectly awake inside. And when you're awake inside, the mind becomes so joyful and peaceful. And that increases your energies. Increases your energy so much, the mind just starts to feel very, very happy. So it's free happiness. And you do that by just not wanting it, but learning just how to be content and easily satisfied. And you find what you have in this moment in your life is more than you need. This moment is more than good enough. And you find that little by little, that energy really takes off. You start off with just being content, and then just contentment takes you over and becomes so, so delightful. So that's our path of meditation. So in this path of meditation, I will lead you on the first 15 to 20 minutes. Then I like to be quiet. Just, it's like you've got a person moving along the right track. Now leave them alone. Let them be by themselves so they can find out how it feels instead of listening to me. And they can just enjoy the adventure of seeing what works and what doesn't work as they go deeper into the meditation. So that's going to be coming up in the next minute or two. Da-da-da. Okay, so shall we start meditating now?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so here we go. Now, as those of you who know me, that I nearly always sit meditation sitting on the floor, but if I sit on the floor you can't see me at all, so I'm going to sit meditation on the chair for a change. And sometimes, you're travelling around places and you have to learn how to meditate almost anywhere, and so even on a chair is fine. So, if you like to get yourselves comfortable, the meditation will be for half an hour. And at the end of the half an hour, we've got this nice little gong here, and I'll just ring it to show you what it's going to sound like. That's the gong for the end of the meditation. So here we go. So you close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, you find you can be far more sensitive to the feelings in your body, especially your physical position, what we call your posture. So, with your eyes closed, just allow your attention to settle on just the way you're sitting. How are your legs, first of all? And it really depends upon the height of your chair, because sometimes if the chair is too low, you have to extend your legs out from the chair. If the chair is too high, then sometimes you need a cushion under your bottom to raise the bottom so the legs can feel comfortable. So don't take even your legs for granted. One skillful means, which I personally found very effective on my own meditation, is to ask the simple question, legs, how are you? And I don't do that as a joke. I really listen to the answer. When you talk to your body, legs, how are you? You get an answer. And my legs, because I don't usually sit on a chair, it's not sort of automatic like when I sit on the cushion. So I need to actually move my knees apart a bit and push my soles of my feet further out. And I will keep on moving, adjusting, what some people call fidgeting. I will keep doing that until I find the most comfortable posture for my legs. If I need to scratch, I will scratch. And I stay with my legs until they tell me that this is great and much more comfortable than when I started, because I've paid attention to my legs, to the feelings in the legs, and I've also been kind. And when I'm kind, it doesn't mean just an attitude of kindness, it means I'm willing to change the posture if needed. And then when I change, I get feedback. And the feedback just tells me whether it's better or worse. And I will keep adjusting until I find the best posture for my legs today. And it's not the same as yesterday or the day before. Your body is always in flux, changing, so my posture will adjust. And now after all that talking, my legs feel great. If you have a problem, say your knees or your ankles, it won't help to move, but what does help is just focusing on that part of your body, putting all your attention down there, zooming in onto that part of your body, and give it kindness. Sometimes the mental attitude of kindness is powerful. It helps relax, whether it's the muscles or tendons or blood supply or whatever. And you find if there's been an injury down there and you give it kindness, you go into it and soften it. It's just like the memories I still have of being cut or wounded or bruised, and my mother leaning over and just kissing it or stroking it. And just that little bit of kindness from someone you trust and love just made the pain go away and made the wound healed eventually. Never underestimate the power of your own kindness to your own wounds and pain in your own body. So I'm relaxing my knees and the whole of my legs. They feel great now. Then I go to my butt. I always spend some time just experiencing the feelings on my bottom, simply because that too often I just didn't take those feelings seriously and I just passed it by too quickly. I didn't realize just how many people fidget because their butt is uncomfortable. So you can fidget, move up, move down. I'm going to move up because I think I can get my butt a little bit more comfortable on the chair. Oh yeah, that's much better. Ah, yeah. And once you've relaxed your butt, then you go up your back. Ask my back, how are you? Sometimes when sitting on a chair you can lean back if you wish to, or you can lean forward. Try each one and find out what's the best for you tonight. And I often give a stretch to my back. Living in forests and places of nature where there's wild animals around, you often see the animals doing stretches. Even the kangaroos over here. And just how much they enjoy that. As I do, a big stretch of the back and all these endorphins get released into the bloodstream. It feels good. Then I let go. And the back becomes very comfortable. And then I also don't forget the other part of my torso, the main part of my body. Because in there is all the digestive system. And being a monk, sometimes I don't know what people give me to eat. So there's often some indigestion there, but today it's great. But if there is any indigestion, just linger on that part of your body. Zoom in, give it kindness. And you find even a little bit of kindness relaxes the body. And things start to feel better. And I keep going up in my stomach and my lungs and all these other organs in my back, livers and kidneys and stuff. If ever as I sweep my awareness up my body, if ever I feel there's something not quite right, even a small amount of like imbalance, I call it, that's my own word for it, I linger there, stop, and focus in. And then just give it huge amounts of loving kindness, of care, of well-wishing. I don't try and change things because that makes them more tense. I care. You develop the feeling of care. And this is where you will learn what care means. This wonderful attitude where you look at something and things relax, open out. They're not afraid of you. So they can be free. And that's where a lot of healing happens. Caring for this tightness which I might have somewhere in my body. And as I'm aware of it, the mindfulness is really important. You feel that part of your body starts to loosen. The tightness or the imbalance tends to reduce. And I've used that so often in remote places to heal my body, all sorts of stuff. And eventually I go quite fast because I can spend a long time on this if necessary, but today I go up to my shoulders now and I relax those shoulders. And how to relax the shoulders, it works, it's a strange phenomenon, but I scrunch them up first of all. Scrunch them as scrunchy as I can, and then I let go. Because when they're very tight, you understand what letting go is. And when you let go, they get more relaxed than when you started. Sometimes people don't know what it means to let go, so do the opposite first, get tense, and then it's obvious what to do to let go. And you let it go and everything gets so at ease. So my shoulders now are just so loose. And I go down my arms. If you do have problems with your arms or your elbows, they can linger there. But then eventually you go down to your wrists and your hands. And ask your hands, how are you? Are you comfortable down there? I ask that with my eyes closed. And I can feel my hands. They're very sensitive parts of my body. And I just change a little bit this way, that way, until my hands feel just so at ease and actually comfortable. It's almost as if, maybe I'm imagining this, or maybe it's true, I'm not sure. It's like my hands say, thank you for giving me a tiny bit of attention, not just using me, but caring for me. I care for my hands. And they too feel good. And then I go back up to my neck, and I pass the shoulders. And the neck, people get neck pain sometimes. So it's obviously because their head is not properly balanced on top of the neck, maybe looking at computer screens. But now you've got your eyes closed. The only thing you're looking at is your own body, by feeling it. So move your head backwards and forwards. I've got a tight piece of robe on me, so I'm just going to loosen that, which I just have. So much better. And get your neck nice and comfy. And if you do have any irritation in your throat, like a cough or a hay fever, I do suffer from hay fever, but I know how just to look after it by focusing on that irritation and just relaxing it until it's almost gone. And once the neck has been dealt with awareness and kindness, and I go up to the front of my head, the face, and looking at those muscles around the eyes and the mouth, maybe the forehead as well. I can feel a tightness there. Now my job, zooming in on those feelings, learning how to be kind to them. When I'm kind to them, they loosen up so much, you can feel it. So the eyes aren't scrunched tight, there's no fear there, there's no expectation. They're just totally at ease. And my mouth is just slightly open to speak, but it's not stressed. It's all at ease. And then, I don't know, sometimes I've done this, sometimes I'm not. It works for some people, it doesn't work for others. If you wish, you can imagine just a couple of inches behind your eyes and between your ears is this thing called your brain. Your poor brain gets overworked. And imagine just opening the lid of your head and taking your brain out and putting it in a little basket, a very safe, comfortable basket, with a nice little soft mattress and a blanket and a nice pillow. Just like the things that little cats sleep in. But this is your brain's little bed. I put my brain in that little basket, nice and soft and warm and safe. Tuck it in and wish it a nice rest for 20 minutes. Perfectly safe. It's only imagination. What it does is it gives the permission for your brain to rest. You don't have to think and work it all out. And then, before I leave my body, I can be aware of the whole body, just all joined together, just one body. Sitting on a chair, and my goodness, my body anyway is just really at ease. Quite remarkable, because I don't usually sit in the chair to meditate. From the toes to the tip of the head. And I stay with that feeling of relaxation. That's the object of my mindfulness, is focus. And if there's anything which I can relax more, I will do straight away. Bodily relaxation is delightful. And I've trained myself, learned how to recognize that delight. My body feels more at ease than when I started. Much more at ease. I enjoy that. And I'm not afraid of enjoying the feeling of relaxation. And I notice something wonderful happen when I can be aware of the relaxation of the body. The body gets more relaxed, more at ease. I know this is amazingly healthy. Body can heal itself if necessary. Energies can flow to the right places. Feels wonderful. I pause in that relaxation for a while before moving on to my mind. For those of you who heard me before, what is this mind? I start with one of its important qualities. That's the quality of peace. Peace is a quality of the mind, not of the body, not of the brain. How peaceful are you right now? And even give it a number, because this is how people in our modern world learn how to know things. 1, really peaceful, 10, very agitated, the opposite of peacefulness. How peaceful are you? How agitated? A number from 1 to 10, roughly. Now what brings that reading on your peaceometer, like a thermometer or speedometer, on your peaceometer, what brings that number down? In other words, what makes you more peaceful? Because that's what we're aware of, that's the object of our mindfulness now, our peace. And we get insight into what makes it more peaceful. Peace is also very attractive, very delightful. It's a wonderful thing to do. See how much delight you can generate in a really peaceful mind. You'll find future and past, they just disturb. And there's no need to even think about those things during meditation time. This is where your future is being made right now. So if you are concerned about having a wonderful time in the future, be now. Create peace, health, energy, by just being here. And feel the emotion of peace. It's not an intellectual concept, it's an emotion, which you really get to know. You may also find that the emotion of peace is just, it's too beautiful to give words to, unless you happen to be a really amazing poet. You just can't describe it. It stops the thinking. You're just here enjoying the peace. Later on, for those of you who've done breath meditation, the breath may come up by itself when it's ready. But don't rush it. I wouldn't even invite it in. Just wait till it comes to you. Your job is just to be here in this moment. Quiet. Enjoying the emotion of inner tranquility, peace. Being contented and easily satisfied. I will now be quiet for about 8 minutes, 9 minutes. When I start speaking again, it will be to lead you out from the peace of meditation. Now, I will be quiet. Getting close to the end of the meditation now. How do you feel inside? How peaceful is your mind? Can you notice how delightful peace feels? Small amounts of peace feel lovely. Deep peace feels wonderful. And how does your body feel? When the mind is peaceful, the body relaxes so deeply. I'm now going to ring the gong. Please listen to the sound of the gong. When the gong finishes sounding, it's a signal to come out from your meditation. And as you come out from the meditation, please get into the habit of smiling when you come out, to take some of the inner peace and happiness out into your body and into the world. Hey. Oh. Okay. Now, when we used to do this live in the hospital, we'd always have like questions which you'd try and answer afterwards. So Rachel, are there any questions from our audience today?
Yeah, you can ask for questions, and if someone's got a question, they can just switch the microphone on and ask it. So does anyone have any questions or a request for a topic for Ajahn to talk about? Wow, everybody's so peaceful, Ajahn.
Okay, well then,
Anybody, I'm just checking everybody. If not, I'll ask for loving kindness at Christmas because there's a lot of tension in the air.
really? They have from
I wanted
Bob.
to say thank you.
Okay. They say from Bob to
I
me.
wanted to say thank you for all your teachings.
Excellent. Very good. There's something with kindness and thank yous is what we call in our modern world paying it forward. So if anything which I have done to help anybody, instead of saying thank you back, it's like I've served and given to you, so you're in debt. But the only way you can pay off that debt is to go and help somebody else, to share these teachings far and wide. Because if I give something to you and you give it back to me, then it's finished. However, if you give some kindness and then you tell the other person, now it's your job to give that kindness to the other people you live with. And when they say thank you to you, say, no, you pay it forward, never pay it back. And that's a beautiful way, which I learned a long time ago, but it really works. Peter, that is so cool, Ajahn. Yeah, very good. It is. Wonderful teachings are very cool, especially in hot weather. They inspire you and give you lots of happiness. If things go wrong when it's too hot or too cold, it makes it even hotter or even more cold. But I did see a question which came up on the chats there about revenge, I think.
Hatred and revenge and how it can disturb meditation.
Yeah. I can't hear it clearly, but with hatred or revenge, of course, it's sometimes that when we get hurt, and then, instead of trying to give that hurt to someone else. Again, that's more paying it back. We can also do paying it forward. By paying it forward, if someone's hurt you, we learn from it, we grow from it. And in other words, that we learn from the negative experience of life, just what's the best thing to do with them. An example I gave the other day to somebody, a simple example, when you're meditating, somebody comes in and bangs the door. And then you say, why did they bang the door? They shouldn't have banged the door. I was meditating, I know I meditate now, they should never bang the door like that. And you'll find that the door stopped banging a long time ago, but the person is still thinking about it. It's the echoes of the unpleasant things which happen to you in life. They're the ones which cause most of the problems. The bang of the door finished quite quickly. Or even, like I used to say when I used to talk in business conferences, someone cheats you at work. And you think, they cheated me, why should they teach me? Every time you remember them, what they did, they're cheating you again. So the wonderful thing about learning meditation, we learn how to let go of things. In other words, they only cheat you once. The bang of the door only happens once. They only call you stupid once. You don't keep thinking about it. They're obviously wrong. So they misunderstood. So that way we can learn how to use this wonderful attitude of mind to be content, easily satisfied, and not hold on to things from the past, to let them totally go. And even just we hate someone because they really hurt us badly. Well, part of my life and part of the teachings has been helping people who've been really very, very badly hurt. You know, people who've been sexually abused or physically abused and not their fault at all. So what do we do there? We find even the most intense stuff which happens to people, you find that you can look at it in a totally different way. We can learn from it and grow from it. That person, don't know why they did that, but all the revenge and hatred in the world will not undo what they did to you. What instead we can do is to understand what leads a person to hurt somebody so badly. So first of all, we learn to protect ourselves. And secondly, we learn to forgive those people. Forgive them doesn't mean like just we ignore it, pretend it didn't happen. It has happened. But we learn how to realize that I don't know why they did it, they're just growing in this world and they need a lot of place to grow yet. They really need to learn so much more about life. One of the examples which comes up, because I taught this a few days ago, was of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which was held in South Africa many years ago. Desmond Tutu, and he started as a brilliant, very Buddhist idea that all of the extrajudicial killings and torture which happened at that time, that as long as a person would confess honestly, they would be given amnesty. It was the only way to get to the truth and find out what really happened. And the one particular episode in this long commission, which really affected me, was when I read in detail about this white South African police officer who was confessing how he had tortured and raped a black African ANC activist in front of the man's widow. And the man's widow's wife, this was the man she still loved and respected, the father of her children, the person she chose to live her life with. And he disappeared in the middle of the night, taken away in this blackened van. And she never heard from him again. And that was where she found out from the person who killed him, extrajudicially, what exactly had happened to him. And apparently the police officer, it was very, very difficult for him to confess this. He was shaking and crying and just pausing. And he knew he had to tell, but it was thoroughly, and a shame which I can't really imagine what he was feeling. But after he finished his testimony, and the wife knew that he'd be forgiven, it'd be amnesty. So she leapt over the barricade, and she was a very fit woman, managed to evade a couple of the security guards and went straight forward to this man. And everybody expected her to hit him or strangle him or kick him or whatever. But what she did was put her arms around him and give him this enormous hug and say, "I forgive you." She just heard just how the love of her life had been taken away from her. And now she said, "I can forgive you." And everybody apparently just burst out crying. And I often use that, if that's what you can forgive, then why can't we forgive some of the terrible things which happened to us? And of course with that police officer, that would allow him to learn and grow, become a much better human being when he realised it's a pain which he caused others. Why? But never ever again. So that's one of the reasons why revenge just, again, kicks the can down the road. We just hurt somebody else, and the person we hurt, they have people who love them and care for them, their children, their parents. We hurt them, and just the hurt keeps on going on. Has to be another way. Of course there is. Instead of revenge and hatred, it's beautiful openness, honesty, forgiveness, learning, moving on. And that's what happens in meditation. Sometimes when people meditate, we start to remember some of the things which we did when we were young, and some of the things we're not very proud of. When we do those things and remember them, please let them come up. You're not perfect. No one is perfect. That's why we're here in this birth, to learn. To learn means we have to have some honesty. And we grow, become better people as a result of it. And in order to have that forgiveness and not seek revenge, what we do is we learn to see a much bigger picture. That much bigger picture is emphasized by, I was going to say stress, but I can't use that word stress in a meditation talk. It's emphasized when we think of that old story of the two bad bricks in the wall. When I laid my first wall in monastery where I live, 2 bricks were crooked. And I wanted to blow up the wall, push it over and start again, because 2 crooked bricks spoiled the whole wall, as I saw it. And I actually really suffered because of those 2 crooked bricks. I couldn't get the bricks out, I couldn't hide them. It was the first building we put up, and I was ashamed of it. And it took a while, I think 3 months, and when a visitor was with me and they saw those mistakes, I saw the whole wall, and they said it was a beautiful wall, and I said, "You must be blind. Can't you see the 2 bad bricks, the 2 crooked ones?" And what they said next, which is so wonderful, they said, "Yes, I can see the 2 bad bricks, but I can also see the 998 perfect bricks as well." And to me, that was not just the answer to my negativity, why I always just saw 2 bad bricks in the wall I'd laid. It also explained to me what hatred is and why we seek revenge. Why we want to blow up a wall or push it over because of just 2 bad bricks. And after a while, I say, the person, whatever they did to you, people think I'm crazy, but they're not a bad person. They're a person who's done bad things. They're not a criminal. All the times I've been visiting jails, I've never yet once seen a criminal. I've seen a person who's done a crime, but never a criminal. They're much more than those bad things. And that person who really hurt you and caused you so much misery and even lost so much money and just lost so much happiness, they're not bad people. A person's done some very stupid bad things, but they're much more than that. The nice thing is that when you see that I told that story. I mean, most of you know all these anecdotes, but one of the most wonderful pieces of praise which I ever received, which I remember when I die, was from this prison officer who called me, "Can you please come back to my jail to teach?" He didn't own the jail, but he'd been working there all his life. And I said, "I'm very busy, I'll send another monk." And then he said, "No, I want you." And of course, I said, "Why? Why me?" And then the answer was, "Because all the people who went to your class, once they left jail, they never ever came back." So I've never seen that before. No recidivism. They all left and got jobs and became part of society again. So I don't know how you did that, but please come and do it again. And of course I was why, because when I saw people, you never saw criminals, and some quite famous and nasty people in there, according to other people's ideas. But I saw them as people who'd done stupid things. But anyway, if somebody is showing revenge... Oh, I must also say this, that when I gave that story at a mental health conference in Singapore, the professor of the schizophrenia unit, the head doctor, clinical psychiatrist who deals with the terrible, terrible problems of people with schizophrenia, he sort of praised me, and he said he said he was a Christian, but he wanted me to bless his ward. I said, "Why?" And he said, "Because as you taught, so I teach." And I asked him, "Well, how do you teach? How do you treat people with schizophrenia in Singapore?" And he said this wonderful answer: "I don't treat schizophrenia in Singapore in the schizophrenia ward. I just treat the other part of the patient." And the way he said that after the talk, it just inspired me so much. I just put my hands up in just salutation to the wisdom of that Christian doctor. Because if you focus on the other part of the patient, which isn't schizophrenic, I know that grows. The good part grows. And it swamps the bad part. And of course I had to ask him, "What's the results?" He said, "Much better than usual." I said, "Of course." So that's what happens when we don't look at the negative side of a person, but look at the other side. And if somebody, they try and harm and hurt you, so they try and stop you meditating because they don't want you to be happy, because I saw that question pop up so quickly on the screen. And because the camera's a bit of a way, I have to look very carefully to see that question. I hope I got it right. But anyway, that if people just try and disturb you when you're meditating, I still remember the story of one of my prison meditators who would wake up early in the morning, meditate in his cell, and he asked me, he said, "Can you please talk to the head of this prison?" Because one of the prison officers, every morning, he opens a little grill with the bars on, to check up on me, and he takes his flashlight and he shines it right in my face when I'm meditating. And if I turn around, he takes the flashlight and just bangs it against the bars to make a noise. And he won't stop making a noise until I open my eyes. And he said, "Can you please ask people, I'm doing something good, I'm not causing any problems." And of course I remember how my teacher would have said, and I told him, said, don't move, just keep your eyes closed and keep still, and let him bang that door until the flashlight breaks into two. And he did. And it took a while, but then the prison officer gave up, never bothered him again. So remember, peace is often more powerful than words. So a lot of times, if people try to disturb you when you're meditating, refuse to be disturbed. Be still, be kind, and just stay inside. And even the mosquitoes, they can't harm you, let alone people. I don't know if that answers the question, but that may be. But you find some amazing things happen when you're peaceful and still. Was there any other questions there, Rachel, which I missed?
No, it's just those ones, but does anyone else have a question? I can't see everybody.
But you will find anyway that, because we've only got 10 minutes to, and it is the Christmas time now. Sometimes people say, do Buddhist monks celebrate Christmas? And when I was first in Thailand, 46 years ago, when I became a monk in Thailand, there was a few other Westerners around. Of course, it was something which we could remember from our culture. It was such a long way away. There's nothing else we could remember from our culture of being in the West. And then Christmas was one of them. So, of course, we said to one another, Merry Christmas. And when Ajahn Brahm found out, who's our teacher, he said, what are you doing? You're supposed to be Buddhist. He said, well, this is what we've grown up with as kids. It's a time for kindness and forgiveness and peace and joy to all, they said all men, please excuse me, but we changed that to peace and kindness to all beings, not just human beings, whoever you are. And that was a time of just happiness and joy to everybody. And I remember that even visiting my family in London. You'd be walking from one place to another, because I used to like walking then, and I'd stay at a Sri Lankan temple and walk to my mother's apartment, and people would cross the road and they would just not look at you. But on Christmas Day, I'd say Merry Christmas to everybody, and no one would cross the road at all. They'd smile and say Merry Christmas to you too, have a wonderful day. It's almost like for one day of the year, no matter what religion you were, no matter how you looked, who you were, people were always kind to one another in London. And I thought, it's a wonderful thing. Why can't we do that every year? But at least one day of the year, I'm not going to miss. So we always have this wonderful peace and goodwill to all beings on Christmas. That means your enemies, people who have really been really cruel to you. At least that one day. It's like the tradition in the West. May you be happy and well. Wish you all the very, very best. And so we actually, Ajahn Brahm used to call it Buddhism. He said, wow, that's worth celebrating. And he would come to our monastery every time on 25th of December to celebrate Buddhism, give us a nice talk, have a nice kindness and goodwill to all beings. That's very close to Buddhism, so why can't we celebrate it? So of course we celebrate it. With so many people, Merry Christmas, even though they're Christians or Muslims, we don't care. Just, it's what I need to give to you. Whether you want to receive it or not, that's your business. So that's why we do celebrate sort of Christmas. And this year, I'm usually overseas at Christmas, because because of COVID, this is my first Christmas at Bodhinyana Monastery. I don't know how many years, maybe 30 years. So I'm just really looking forward to it, see what happens. I have lots of people here. So yeah, go on.
Ajahn, what is the situation in terms of people visiting the monastery at Christmas in terms of COVID restrictions? Because usually a lot of us turn up.
Oh, great, come. I'm not going to count you. Peace and goodwill to all beings. I think you do have to sign in somewhere, or just do that QR code thing.
Yeah.
So that has to be done, but only if you go outside. So yeah, you can hang around. Because I don't think, that anyone's going to fine you for a Christmas event. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, West Australia, we're pretty okay at the moment with COVID, with no real community transmission. So I think we're pretty safe. So
yeah, there are fines going up now if people don't follow the restrictions, and it includes the religious groups. So.
Yeah, but there won't. I don't think anyone will think that lots of people come to a Buddhist monastery on Christmas. Churches, yes, but I think we get under the radar there.
I've been there when about 180 turned up.
And it'd be more than that. So it's just very hard to police those things. And as long as people keep the social distancing. There's only very small time when people go inside to receive blessings. And I received some blessings, and and little stories or something, and then you go outside, because we've got lots of external areas in monasteries where people can go and enjoy each other's company. Just don't get too close. And I can't see there's going to be any problem there at all. Because kindness is...
Whereabouts is the Buddhist monastery?
Yeah, Buddhist monastery. It's a top secret. So it's top secret. So no, it's in Serpentine on Kingsbury Drive. You get on Google somewhere and you find where it is.
What's the number of Kingsbury Drive?
It's called
216.
216. The reason why they call it 216 is because it's 2.16 kilometres from the main road to South West Highway. So you can actually tell by the number 216 how far it is from the intersection. 2.16 kilometres from the South West Highway in Serpentine. So it's a very nice place.
I'll put the address in the chat box for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're most welcome to come and celebrate Christmas. But what we do usually, we have our lunch at 10:30 and them chanting, actually I think we need some help to eat all the food. No way can the monks eat it all. And one of the reasons that the generosity is something which has always inspired me, and it took me a while to understand what generosity really means. It's not what I need, it's what other people need to give. So I'm the recipient, one of the recipients, but I'm not really the important one. The important thing is just love giving to people. And whenever I have the opportunity to give to somebody, you always make that opportunity happen. And I can't give money because monks don't have money. But there's all sorts of other things. Give your time. Give your forgiveness. What a beautiful gift that is to someone who's hurt you haven't spoken to for such a long time. You send them a Christmas present, nice box, and inside just a little note saying, I forgive you, please forgive me. That'd be just really powerful. Because sometimes we just sometimes need an excuse to be able to do beautiful things in our life. And just giving food to the monks or whatever else. And we all manage to find a way to distribute it. A lot of time it's Doug who comes along to Bodhinyana Monastery, all the excess food and other gifts which we get given which we can't use. He takes it. And where does he give it? Rachel? Where does Doug take it?
I don't know.
It's Women's Refuge, isn't it?
Some of them used to go to the Women's Refuge, but I don't think it all goes there anymore. Marlene may know.
Yeah, but it all goes to really...
No, I don't know. Bob deals with it entirely.
Yeah, but it all goes to sort of people who really need it. So it gets given to the monks, but we don't use it all. We can't. In no way we can. So it all gets given to sort of people who need it much more than we do. So nothing gets wasted. So it's a beautiful thing, being part of paying it forward all the time.
So that probably is time to draw it to a close for the evening, Asha?
Yeah, okay. Oh, it's Bob who does it, not Doug, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent, yeah.
One quick comment, please.
Yeah.
Ajahn, are you aware that we managed to donate 105 $20 Coles Maya gift cards to the Women's Refuge this year?
Yeah, no, I think it was 80 when I last saw the email. 105 is beautiful. Because what does 105 cards actually mean? It means 105 smiles which weren't expected. People in the refuge with so little money got something for their kids. And just the joy which that gives, the small things. When you think about that, it'd be wonderful if you could get like a photograph or a video of them receiving those things. But of course the security won't permit that. But just little kids, just wonder, almost think they're at the end of the road and there's no hope for them. And then people they don't even know give them these little cards. Not what we think they need, so they can choose something in the stores. It's beautiful acts of kindness. And so just over your Christmas, don't celebrate what you get under the Christmas tree. Just always celebrate what you've given. Wow, it's beautiful.
Yes. A lot of people have given this year.
Yeah. And look, I did get a couple of comments that they were looking to give, but they couldn't actually find it on our internet site. So there's many more people that actually would have liked to have given, but they couldn't find it. That's what they told me just about a week ago. I told them where to look. I'm not quite sure. They may have found it and given in the end. But a lot of people love doing that every year. You know, because they really trust us. The Armadale group, they don't get anything out of that. You don't get a percentage. You just you just go there and just do it, all the extra work which you do. And you just do that, and it takes your time, your effort, your petrol of your car, and you do it out of kindness. And just afterwards, you think, wow, wonderful things we do. The people who really, 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 really need it. So sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Well done.
Thank you. Well done to everybody. Thank you all for being so generous. It was just so exciting to get to 105. And it gives not only the children a surprise, but the mothers some control back, because they can choose gifts for their own children. It's just fantastic. Yeah. So if we wrap up for the night, Ajahn, thank you.
Well, I did see that the Bob asked for a joke. You wanted a joke. A joke for the night. Okay.
A Christmas joke.
Well, now you're asking for a Christmas joke for... Now, I can't remember, do a Christmas joke. I can't remember the Christmas joke. We got the okay, it's sort of Christmas. Please excuse me if you've heard it before. There was this kid, and his mum said, look, I'm not going to get you any Christmas presents this year because, you know, you've really been terrible. And, you know, you're just always eating your junk food. He said, well, it's enjoyable, Mum. And says, well, look, I'll tell you what, if you can eat some healthy food on Christmas, then I'll give you some presents. And so he thought for a while. I said, okay, Mum, nuts. How about nuts? His mum said, yeah, nuts are healthy. We'll get you some nuts. What type of nuts do you want? We have cashews, we have peanuts, macadamia nuts. I said, can I choose what nuts I eat on Christmas and you give me a present? He said, yeah. Okay, said the son, I'll have donuts. Donuts. They're nuts. Okay, Bob, is that good enough?
Thank you.
Okay.